Hi, I'm Stephen Wessner, CEO of Predictive ROI. Thanks for coming back for this week's video. And I'm going to cover in this video a question, or try to answer a question that I get asked by business owners often. And that is, do you have an accountability partner or partners? And if you do, how do you structure that? What's the rhythm? What are the questions? Like, how often and who should I choose, and so forth. And so again, that question's asked to me often. It came up recently when I was a guest speaker at Chris Prefontaine's Building and Scaling Secrets event, his BSS event, which was just a couple weeks ago in Newport, Rhode Island. And so when I was in front of that group, I received the question here again about accountability, whether it's phone calls, whether it's Zoom, is it every week, and who should I choose, and what questions do I ask? So I answered that in front of the group, and I thought that might be helpful to you as well. Again, because it's a question that I'm often asked. I'm a big believer in accountability. I'm a big believer in having not only an accountability partner, potentially multiple partners. I have 3 accountability partners, and we talk every single week, and it has absolutely kept me accountable as one of the leaders here at Predictive ROI for performance. Right? These are people who will call you on your stuff. These are people who will keep you focused and who are also moving at the same pace and tempo that you want to be moving at. So I have 3. Don Yeager, who he and I have talked every single Friday for the last 7 years. Tom Dunkel, he and I have talked every Tuesday morning for the last 4 years. And Chris Prefontaine, he and I have had our phone calls every Monday morning for the last year or so. And so this clip that I'm going to share with you here really breaks down the recipe of questions and rhythm and how we do it and why we do it and all of that, and the business benefits from it. So hope you find this clip helpful, and I'll be back in just a minute. So just a little bit of additional context. So Chris and I, we started kind of our weekly accountability, not kind of, because it's very disciplined, our weekly accountability about a year or so ago. And the rhythm goes like this. He mentioned that every Monday morning we do this at 8 o'clock. Somebody asked me at one of the breaks, I can't remember who it was, but somebody asked me, do I do this with others? And actually Chris is one of 3 accountability partners that I have. And so I meet with Chris every Monday, I meet with Tom Dunkel every Tuesday morning, and I meet with Don Yeager every Friday morning. So Chris and I have been doing this for about a year. Tom and I have been doing it for 4 years. Don Yeager and I have been doing it now, it'll be 7 years in August. A very consistent rinse and repeat. I'll tell you, the agenda across those 3 accountability partners is exactly the same. We each answer 4 questions. That's it. They take 10 to 15 minutes. And the 4 questions are, these are my wins for the week. Chris mentioned this, and I'm just reaffirming how important this is to kind of bookend the day. The wins for the week, my losses for the week, my ahas from the week, like this is where I got my butt kicked, but this is what I learned from that butt kicking. And then the 4th is the adjustments I'm going to make going forward, the fixes. Okay, so wins, losses, ahas, and fixes. And again, we stick to that 10 to 15 minutes every single week, and it's been invaluable, not just for relationship, which is really cool because I've been able to become friends with Chris, learn more context about Chris, learn more about his business because of the numbers that he shares, which are awesome, but then also just being able to hold myself more accountable, because I know toward the end of the week, I'm going to have to report to him on Monday. And it's, for those of you who are sharing reports to him, you kind of don't want to come into that in a crappy fashion, right? So I want to be organized and disciplined. He keeps me accountable, and then vice versa. Yes, sir?
Why 3 different accountability partners?
Can you repeat that, Stephen? You guys, when you raise your
Sure.
hands, give us a second.
So the question is, why 3 different accountability partners? So there's real no brain science to that, other than the fact that I'm a junkie for this type of stuff, right? So Chris actually came to me. He knew that I was doing this with 2 other people who were important in my life. And he said, hey, would you be my accountability partner? I'm like, that's awesome. And I have actually had some people say to me, you already had 2, why a 3rd? Like, I would do this all day long. You know, I'd probably have 7 if I could actually fit that in. But so there's no real rhythm to the 3. It's just another opportunity to spend time with somebody who's moving at the pace and tempo, if not faster than me. And I want to spend as much time with a person like that as possible.
Steve, can I add to that?
Sure.
So,
When we talked about little nuggets this morning, just one thing, that's why. We'll get off the phone and he'll text me, I don't know, it could be an hour later, could be because we're both up early at 5 a.m. the next day, but he'll go, I had a thought on that. Let's connect sometime this week. And we get on and we brainstorm sometimes for a half hour when we're both on the road. That's why. It's not even that call, it's other stuff.
And he and I also have a very similar biorhythm. We're up very early in the morning. So the other morning, he knew that I was going to be going to the gym. I leave my house at about 4:30 in the morning to go to the gym. And so he sends me a text. He goes, hey, can you hop on a call? I don't know. I need to talk to somebody, and I knew you'd be awake. I'm like, yeah, awesome. And we figured it out. And so, you know, having that kind of built-in accountability is just great. So last point on this, and then we'll move on to something else. There's probably many of you who are familiar with Jim Rohn's quote of you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with, right? Some of you might recall back at QLS in September, I broke that down a little bit further. Jim gets credit for that quote, and he popularized it and all that kind of stuff. Anybody know really why the number 5 is the number 5 in that quote? So what Jim probably should have done is given credit to the great coach John Wooden, who actually said, you'll never outperform your inner circle, because he won 88 games straight, won 10 NCAA titles in 12 years. How many guys are on the court for John Wooden at one time? 5. So Jim should have given Coach Wooden a solid by crediting where he actually got that from. But Coach John Wooden, why I said this morning about, if you're walking through the mall and there's the muffin counter or somebody's running fast to Macy's, what do? Speed up or slow down? That's where that came from. That's why Coach John Wooden was very, very disciplined, not only in player selection, but also he believed that his job was not just to win basketball games, but to create great men. And he did that. He did that. Okay, yes, sir.
I just want to know with your 3 accountability partners, are they 3 completely different accountabilities, like subjects, or not necessarily on the fly, just about something specific, or like if Chris is your different accountability partner, specific compared to your other 3?
They are different, but here again, not because of some sort of strategy, sort of by happenstance. So Don Yeager became my first accountability partner. He's a professional speaker. He also runs a PR firm. He and I met when we attended a CEO forum that Darren Hardy was running at the time back in 2012 when Darren was still with Success Magazine. So anyway, Don and I were one of 23 CEOs in that room. Darren actually paired us up. I mean, we had each voted for one another sort of secretly that we wanted to be paired up, and Darren honored that, so that was cool. And I wanted to learn more about the speaking business, and Don wanted to learn more about what Predictive was doing, so it was kind of a cool fit there. So that's how that happened. And then Tom Dunkel is in commercial real estate on the fundraising side. And I met Tom before I had met Chris, and so now Chris. So there are some synergies with that, but not on purpose, but it's cool how the universe works like that. Sir?
Do you ask strictly these 4 questions, or do you discuss about other topics? Is it strictly business or personal as well? And how long does it take? How much time do you spend on these mornings?
15 minutes total. We do stick strictly to those questions. And then if we're going to go beyond those questions, we schedule additional time. Because just in your case, everybody has a very compressed schedule. We have slices of time, from one thing moving on to the next. So I know that if he and I want to brainstorm stuff, we have a specific call about bolting onto the 30 minutes on top of the 15, or we schedule like a Friday brainstorming or something like that. He knows I might be driving to Des Moines for a 2-day traction thing, and then we'll have a call during my drive. So
this is a phone conversation, not Starbucks meeting or something?
No, yeah, sure. I live in Wisconsin, sorry. I live in Wisconsin, so yeah, I'm not local to Rhode Island. But we both travel a ton. It's really important to get it as a standing meeting. The only time that we don't have those calls is if I'm on a plane, he's on a plane. Like Monday, I'm supposed to be flying to Austin, so we had to cancel that, but then we'll find a different makeup time. But it's very, very disciplined. It's not wishy-washy. We're in it in order to make each other better, and you can't do that without commitment and discipline.
Hi again, thanks for coming back. And I hope that that clip was helpful as far as doing several different things, really making it practical, tactical, tangible as to how Chris and I structure those weekly accountability calls. And not only how we structure them from like a scheduling perspective and how we execute and how we do them, but then also on the 4 questions. What were your wins for the week? What were your losses for the week? What were your ahas for the week? And what were your fixes for the week going forward? Then we also added in a recent ingredient just in the last couple of weeks, which I think has really actually turbocharged the accountability even further. And that is, what is the one thing that you're committing to do this week? What are you committing to me as your accountability partner to do this week in order to, like, big goal? What are you going to get accomplished? And we're going to report on that next week. So Chris and I actually started that as an experiment last week, and boy, both of us, as we were getting closer and closer and closer to the accountability call on that Monday morning, which actually was this morning, coincidentally, we were pulling out all the stops to make sure that we had that goal accomplished, because we did not want to come into the call having that not checked off the list, and we both accomplished it, which was awesome. So I hope that this was helpful to give you the right structure, the right framework that will be useful. I certainly encourage you to take that, apply it into your business right away with your accountability partner, and I look forward to hearing how it goes. So please give me your feedback in the comments below. Questions, concerns, let me know if you're adopting this process and putting it into practice. I would love to know that as well. And so please give me your feedback. Your feedback helps us get better each and every week. If you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, please do. We'd love to have you. And until next week, double down and onward with gusto.